What's up guys, it is Rota here and welcome back to another amazing video on the channel. So for today we're coming at you with a deck profile I did quite a few years ago. We are back with the Qliphort deck profile. This is a deck I'm hoping gets support ASAP. Konami, please give this deck new cards. It loses to itself at the moment. I know this isn't exactly what you want to hear in the intro to a deck profile, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and say that this deck is the hidden meta, this deck has secret potential, because at the moment it is really struggling. I think we have a build here that you can play at the local level, have a lot of fun with, but I wouldn't take it to anything more than that because it is not going to be a fun time for you, and it's not going to be a fun time for the opponent because we do play a lot of Floodgates. But we just hit 5,000 subscribers. That shouldn't discourage you from smashing that subscribe button if you enjoy my beautiful face or beard and join the fantastic, quickly growing Rogue tier army. So enough jibber jabber, let's get straight into the deck profile. So starting off with the Qliphort deck profile, let's put the best card in the deck, triple of the Qliphort Scout, and let's just put the other vanilla right beside him, double of the Qliphort Monolith. So something to mention about the Qliphort monsters, they are all machines, they are all earths, they vary in level, they are either pendulum scale 1 or 9, and they all have the negative effect that you cannot special summon monsters except Qli monsters while they are in the pendulum zones, and these effects cannot be negated, so just do keep that in mind. What does Scout do? Well, you can pay 800 life points, add one Qliphort card from your deck to your hand, and that is on a soft once per turn. What does soft once per turn mean? Well, if you have double Scout, you can do the effect twice. It's not a hard once per turn. Hard once per turn means regardless of the amount of copies you can get onto the field, you can only use the effect once. Soft once per turn is only specified for that card. So Qliphort Scout is a soft once per turn, meaning we can potentially get 3 searches if we wanted from deck to hand by just paying 800 life points, which is really cool. Another cool thing about Qliphorts, their vanilla text is absolutely fantastic. Just try give that a read if you get the chance. It is something out of like space. It is absolutely incredible. For the effect monsters, now the effect monsters all share the effect, again, that they do lock you into Qliphort monsters. However, they either give your Qliphort attack or reduce your opponent's monster's attack while they're in the scale. They can all be normal summoned without tributing, but the original attack becomes 1800, and they are all unaffected by monsters whose original level or rank is lower than their current or their level, which is actually really relevant. And Stealth is unique because he gets his effect when he successfully tribute summoned using a Qli, and all of the other Qliphort monsters, at least the ones I'm going to be showing you next, get their effects when they themselves are tributed. So what does Stealth do when he is tribute summoned using a Qliphort monster? You're going to be able to target one card in the field, return it to the hand, and your opponent can activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So it is a compulsory that your opponent can respond to on a 2800 body that is unaffected by monsters whose original level or rank is lower than itself. So that is a really fantastic card. We only want to play 2 because Qliphorts have this really nice tendency of bricking. This is why I think the new support can come in really handy and actually give the deck some really needed plays, to be honest with you. Qliphorts, as I said in the intro, you play them because you like Qliphorts. This isn't a deck, unfortunately, even though I've been tinkering a lot, that you can really take to high level events, simply because the deck just falls over itself, which is really sad. However, I am confident that the new support, when Konami finally give Qliphorts their overdue support, is going to be absolutely cracked, and we'll be able to gain additional normals out of everywhere. We need loads of normals, Konami, just so that we can successfully tribute summon, and we're going to need some solid going first place. So Konami, if you're listening, give us that. We have double of the Qliphort Helix. Helix again shares the standard Qliphort effects where it can be normal summoned, it is unaffected and all that stuff. However, if this card is tributed, you can target a spell trap card on the field and destroy it, which is actually really nice. If you tribute Stealth over Helix, for example, you're going to be able to do Chaining 1, Chaining 2, and then you basically chain block and your opponent can't respond. So it's actually really sick. And Carrier is sort of the same as Helix, except he will be doing monsters and he will be returning them to the hand. So again, you have Carrier on the field and you can summon the Stealth. What you're going to be able to do is Chaining 1 Carrier, Chaining 2 Stealth, bounce a monster, bounce any card in the field, and your opponent cannot respond, which is absolutely crazy. For going second, we actually do play the Qliphort Disc. This card is good even going first, to be honest with you. It just destroys them during the end phase, which is a shame. But what is really nice about Qliphort Disc, that is if you can successfully tribute summon it using a Qli, you special summon 2 Qli monsters from your deck, which is really nice. And in any other deck, that would be like overkill, but since it's Qlis, it's, you know, balanced. Not even balanced, probably quite underpowered. We have 1 Qliphort Shell. This is again good going second, simply because if you successfully tribute summon it, you're going to be able to get 2 attacks during the battle phase with this card and piercing, which you might think this is 2025 Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not that relevant. You're right, it's not, but this is Qliphort and they haven't had support in years. And the Link, which is the Qliphort Genius, is a great card. However, it doesn't exactly help the main deck that much, so that is why we're playing stuff like Shell. We play 1 Qliphort Towers. You only really need 1, because getting him out is already difficult enough. Getting 2 or 3, I just don't know how you're going to do it, to be honest with you. But Towers is the infamous card of Qliphort. This back in the day was an absolute menace. So it cannot be special summoned, and it requires 3 Qli tributes to normal summon or set. You may think that's a lot, but remember you can pendulum summon a bunch of guys out if you do open the correct hand. And it is unaffected by spell trap effects and the activated effects from monsters whose original level or rank is lower than this card. The annoying thing about this is obviously this was made in a time before links, so they can just make any link like Nightmare Cerberus, SP Little Knight, and get rid of this card. If they're going to give new support, I really hope that they can count links into it somehow, maybe a field spell, for example, that counts links, and just make this a proper tower like it was back in the day. I'm not sure, but you know, Qliphorts time hasn't been kind to Qliphorts is what I'm trying to say. And this is, you'd say that this is, you know, your main win condition. It's not anymore. You just got to floodgate your opponent out the game, which is really, really annoying, because if a deck is relying on floodgates, it means that the main deck itself is quite weak. And in the case of Qliphort, that is exactly correct. But, you know, he's here. He can sometimes win a game just because your opponent doesn't have an immediate out, and it's all right. Once per turn, you can make your opponent send 1 monster from the hand or their side of the field to the graveyard. It's their choice, so they'll most likely, if they have something important in the field, just send 1 from hand. But if you can get this out turn 1, you can make your opponent basically get rid of a monster from the hand straight to the grave. Doesn't negate graveyard effects though, so in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It's going to be more of a hindrance. And if you can loop it, you can essentially use this effect as many times as you can, because it's a soft once per turn. But then again, you can't special summon this card, and it's going to be difficult to do that. We play 1 Qliphort Skybase as the second boss monster. Same as Towers, can't be special, requires 3 tributes, and it's unaffected by spells, traps, and the activated effects from a monster whose original level or rank is lower than this card's level. Once per turn, target 1 monster opponent controls, take control of it till the end phase. So it's actually a snatch steal till the end phase, which is actually pretty solid. It doesn't negate the effects, they can attack. So I wish it only counted the card you took as a Qliphort. That would be very, very nice. But unfortunately, that isn't the case. But this is my Qliphort monster lineup. Konami, please give this deck support, and give it soon. On to the supporting spells and traps. We have, of course, triple of the Summoner's Art. You really need this card, and it's a shame because this card hasn't had like any recent reprints, so it's actually creeping up there in price. I got the Speed Duel Commons. Add 1 level 5 or higher normal monster from your deck to your hand. Basically reads add Qliphort Scout, or in really, really rogue scenarios, add Qliphort Monolith, and it's a non-once per turn add as well. So you're definitely going to want to be playing triple Summoner's Art. If you don't have this card, it's that important. I don't think you should really be playing Qliphorts unless you find another way to get Scout consistently to your hand. So Summoner's Art is in this deck, and it's very free. We have 1 of the Field Spell, 1 Sacrifice, and 1 Recreate. These are the one-offs, and I really, really like these cards. These cards have potential. Like, listen, these cards are sick. It's just that the monsters are so weak. But Laser Clip gives you an additional normal every single turn, which is actually really nice. And the normal summons of Qlis cannot be negated, so they can't, like, just Judgment a normal, for example, and you're screwed. Sacrifice treats any Qli monster as 2 tributes, gives the monster 300 attack, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can add a Qliphort monster from your deck to your hand, so it's a rotor as well when you successfully tribute, which is sick. And we have 1 of the searchable Floodgate, Recreate. This card was broken in the Flunderies era, which is when I last did a Qliphort deck profile. It's actually really good into Ryziel, but now you really need decks that want to be summoning a lot of the same leveled monsters or ranked monsters for this card to actually be really, really good. If a monster is normal or flipped summoned and it's a level 4 or lower, you can negate its effects. If a monster is special summoned and it's a level 5 or higher, negate its effects until the end of the turn. Also banish it when it leaves the field. So against stuff like Ryziel, they would always have level 4 monsters, so all their monsters would have their effects negated. If it's something like Flunderies, again, all their stuff will be negated. Into Canine, this card's actually alright, because if they special summon a level 5 or higher, it's again negated, and it's banished when it leaves the field. So it has really useful applications. It just was a bit better last format, but this format, it's still alright. The thing is, the problem with Canine is they play during your turn, so you never get a chance to actually use this. unless you find a way to place this somehow face up from the deck, which I don't think exists in Qli. You're gonna have to be playing some really random stuff. But really nice card. If you don't have a Qli card on the field, it does out itself, but you'll most likely always have a Qli card on the field, be it the Laser Qli, Laser Clip, the Sacrifice, Recreate. Yeah, you'll always find a way. For the generic goodies, triple Pot of Extravagance, this is needed. Without this, you shouldn't play the deck either, because this just gives you 2 draws immediately by sacrificing the extra deck, which you don't really care about. So basically this card reads draw 2 when you see this card in your main phase 1. And if they ash it and you hopefully have Scout, you know, the Scout resolves, and that's still an alright scenario. You looped your opponent for 1 card, even though it is a really good hit for ash, and you basically got the Scout to resolve. So amazing. Draw 2, absolutely insane. Obviously you can't draw for the rest of the turn, so it switches off Monolith, but that's absolutely okay. It's a really nice trade. You'd rather take the 2 immediate draws than the draws in the end phase. We also have, for the Floodgates, here we go, guys. I know a lot of people don't like Floodgates. As I said, Floodgates compensate for the fact that the deck is really weak on its own. Double, lose 1 turn, double, and the band played on. 1 skill drain, 1 rivalry, 1 goes in. I know it's a lot of Floodgates, and you can arguably put in the actually no, you can't arguably put in the anti-spell unless you want to FTK yourself. Ignore my little rambles. But these are the Floodgate lineups, and yes, you need to play so many Floodgates because your deck is super slow, and as I said, it falls over itself very easily, so you need ways to effectively stun your opponent out the game. Lose 1 turn is really good because if you have a monster, if a monster is face up on the field, negates effects during the turn that monster was special summoned, which is actually really, really relevant. And if effect monster special summon in attack position, it changes to defense. So it's like a Baguska, which is really nice. And the fact that you're going to be normal summoning your Qlis gets around lose 1 turn really, really easily. And you can only activate it if you control no special summon monsters anyway. So really, really nice. The band played on was really amazing against stuff like Ryziel. Neither player can special summon monsters at the same level as those they control, and neither player can special summon monsters at the same rank as they control. So against Ryziel, you flip this card and they're stuck with only 1 level 4 in the field, and they cannot attempt to summon another level 4, which is actually amazing. I still play it because the card has useful utility, stuff like K9 and stuff like that. It's not as good now that Ryziel has fallen off, but if you do go against Ryziel, flip this card and you win. We have 1 skill drain. This card is extra useful in this deck simply because you will negate your Qliphort's negative effects in terms of making themselves 1800 attack. They will now be able to be normal summoned with 2800 attack. So skill drain is nice, and it's skill drain. 1 rivalry and 1 goes in to slow your opponent and basically not let them play the game. Each player can only control 1 type of monster, which is absolutely fine because we are all machines. Each player can only control 1 attribute, which is absolutely fine because we are all Earth. So we can play under all of these Floodgates, which is really, really nice. And I actually do play some hand traps. I play Ash. I don't actually know if this is correct, to be honest with you, because when you play hand traps in a deck like this, you need them to be extremely high impact. And I'm saying, like, you need to basically resolve your hand trap, gives you a bunch of advantage or stops your opponent from playing the game. So I don't think Ash actually does that. Ash is good against stuff like Perulia, but no one's really playing Perulia. So in my opinion, maybe you can even cut Ash and just play something like Moltrami Perulia yourself, just because you really want those draws. But Ash is just always generically good. I play triple of the Moltrami Loss because this is a really high impact hand trap. You're going to be able to drop this and generate draws, and when you have draws in your deck going turn 0, you're going to be able to unbrick a lot of hands, and you're basically going to give yourself 1 to 2 pushes with Qliphort. Usually with Qliphort, if you get a hand trap once, that's basically your turn. If you can resolve a Moltrami Loss and draw like 2-3 cards, you can effectively do 1 to 2 pushes, and you can have a better attempt at breaking your opponent's board. Hopefully they end on a weaker board, so they don't give you as many draws, and then you'll be able to crack that with the Qliphorts. And then of course we have triple Droll and Lockbird. This is an amazing hand trap. It's a Floodgate. It is. I don't care what people say. Just resolve it. Neither player can add cards from the deck to the hand for the rest of the turn, and obviously you're going to be doing it during your opponent's turn. So it's really, really nice. I think Ash should probably be another high impact trap, maybe in the Biru, maybe Perulia. I'll let you guys decide on that. But that is the main deck. Let's get on now into the extra deck. Onto the extra deck is literally going to be 3 of every card I show on screen. Triple Genius, Triple Infinity, Triple Nova, and triple number 61 Volcasaurus. The reason I'm playing this is because I said the extra deck doesn't really matter, and these give you some decent utility options if you can get into them. Stuff like Gordian Slicer is actually really nice in a deck like this going second, because you can get rid of basically all your extra deck as long as Pot of Extravagance resolves. you can do whatever you want with the extra deck. You can play Super Poly targets, you can play Gordian Slicer, you can play Ultimate Slayer, you can play Super Poly. It's really up to preference, but I like these cards. Genius is a card I hope they break with future support, taking 2 machine monsters, unaffected by other spells and traps and links. You can target a card on both sides of the field, negate their effects. Remember, your Qliphort monsters can actually have their effects negated in the Pendulum Zone, so that's really nice targets to do. And also, of course, if 2 monsters are special summoned to the arrows it points to at the same time, you'll be able to add a level 5 or higher monster from your deck to your hand. This isn't once per turn, so I'm hoping the future support can break this. Infinity and Nova can be made with like a Monolith and a Scout, for example, because they are both level 5 machine monsters. So you go into Nova and then you go into an Infinity, which is an Omni Negate. And Volcasaurus is actually really nice going second, for example, because it takes 2 level 5s. Detach an XCs, target a face-up monster opponent controls, destroy it, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster, but this card can't attack. So it is really, really nice. As I said, the extra deck is really up to preference. The deck is quite limited, as I said in the intro. I'm trying to have fun with it. You guys can too. Play Super Poly targets, play Ultimate Slayer, play Gordian Slicer like I'm testing at the moment. The extra deck doesn't matter too much because the times you're going to go into the extra deck, it's very rare. I'm going to be honest with you. So that is this Qliphort deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Qliphort is a deck I absolutely adore, and I really, really hope Konami finally give us some support. Every other dual terminal deck has gotten support almost. It is time for Qlis to return. So if you are new around here and you enjoyed this deck profile, make sure you subscribe and remember to stay rogue. And I'll see you all in the next.
It's time! Let's go!